Vic in Indiana, you're on with Don and Matt.
Hi, Matt and Don. How are you guys?
Good. What's up?
Not much. I think I just missed the ice cream truck that was outside. But
I'm sorry.
You guys.
If you catch it, can you get me a bomb pop and mail it in like
it's life or death down here in Texas, let me tell you.
Might not be in the same shape. So I'm going off to see my parents in a couple weeks. And there was something that happened a few years ago with my cousin that I can only describe as supernatural in the way it's been described. But, since then I've kind of let go of those beliefs and whatnot. And I'm kind of wanting to approach them about that story to kind of find out some more details to see how it actually happened.
What do you know so far?
What do I know so far? So this is from secondhand. People who saw it firsthand were my mother, brother, grandmother, my aunt, and my cousin who it happened to. And apparently she had been sick kind of from birth. She'd always been sick. And about when she was 7 or so, somebody mentioned that she may have had some sort of black magic. This is my grandma talking to some witch doctor or something. And they mentioned to rub cow dung on her back and then pour water over it. Don, you're laughing, but I swear this is true. Pour water over it and then little...
I've heard Stranger Things. How about that? But go ahead.
Little tiny spikes will come out of her back, and you have to pick them off. And if you don't, in time, they go back.
Okay. So this is some sort of exorcism thing, sounds like.
I guess. I don't know. And I was at school when this happened. I must have been 12, 13.
Well, at least somebody involved was getting some schooling.
And so, my mother, my brother, my aunt, everybody who was there, they swear by it that this is exactly what happened.
So basically, your cousin is sick, and they cover her back in bullshit, and now they're trying to feed that bullshit to the rest of us.
Right. Well, I think he wants to investigate it. Right?
You can't investigate it. You have a time machine?
So basically, essentially, when you ask a question like that to family members, the answer that you get, the tone that the answer that you get with is, "Oh, we were all there." It's not like I'm lying. We all saw.
Right. You might want to look at some of the books by Joe Nickell. He has is a professional skeptic and goes and explores these sorts of stories. And, you might pick up some pointers from him on his methodology. Eyewitness testimony is not the greatest thing in the world, and it's worse over time because every time you tell a story, you re-remember it. You re-remember what you told, not what happened. And so over time, the memory will drift based on the stories you're telling. Another thing is you want to talk to people independently and make sure that they sort of, are completely corroborating what the other people are saying, but not in some sort of groupthink sort of way where they're all together agreeing and nodding. Those are some basic things, but as Matt said, this is something that happened in the past. If the spikes are still around in a jar somewhere, that could be interesting, but I doubt they are.
I mean, in India they sell cow dung soap, and they've been claiming that there's health benefits from it, but sitting around with your relatives, getting them to tell you more anecdotal, probably exaggerated versions of the story can't get you anywhere close to the truth. If cow dung has healing properties,
we'd know it by now. Good grief.
And if we didn't know it by now, then why hasn't your family or whoever told them about this
Right, they can make
actually
admit.
gone out and started working to heal other people with the cow dung so that maybe it can get tested and then it can be considered medicine rather than just an old wives' tale?
Right. No, it's definitely something that they think happened, but obviously I don't believe in. It's just getting them to get to the point where I'm at.
You may not. You may not, and
probably
that may not be possible.
Yeah.
One of the, if your goal is to fix people of believing in stuff and their credulity, that's a laudable goal. But the way to go about it is not often to address the specific story that they believe, but get them to recognize that if someone told them this story or a story like this, would they accept it? And what are the potential risks of that? Because like Don was saying, they're not remembering the event. They're remembering the last time they talked about the event, which is how we get, stories of people catching fish, this big all the time.
Right.
It's the reason why when I was like 10, 11, 12 or whatever, laying out on a trampoline with some of my friends, and they were seeing the moon move and stuff like that, you just play along. It's extraordinary popular delusions and the madness of crowds. It's because if you don't have the same story that everybody else who was there has, you're the one that's ostracized. And so the stories merge. There are reasons why we hear stories like this, and it's because we're monumentally ignorant. And if somebody says, hey, if you rug bullshit all over you, and then pick off the spikes, I want to know what the hell those spikes were.
Yeah, me too.
Because for all we know, that dung had parasites in it that crawled into your back and planted their eggs in the spikes. Who knows what the hell you're doing to people? I mean, has this cow dung been approved by the FDA? And if not, why haven't they submitted it for approval? This is a story of stuff that happens all the time. And we have plenty of charlatans that are going to try to sell you. I remember, what was it, crap? St. John's wort, which they would, this will boost your mental faculties and does this and does this. As soon as we start hearing about miracle cures, we should have alarms going off all the time. Because if it were that easy, just go out and pick up some cow shit and cure people of stuff, then everybody would know this by now. It wouldn't be something that your family found out from somebody else, but, and it's funny because we're living in a world where there are people who are like, here are the secrets Big Pharma doesn't want you to know.
Right.
Or what they'll often say is, here are the secrets they don't want you to know. Well, maybe the they in this case is whoever's selling cow dung.
Right, and compare this to the story of, if you eat if you chew on this particular tree bark, it'll make you feel better.
Yeah. And it works. Because it's aspirin.
It's aspirin. And okay, look where aspirin is. We're not talking about magic tree bark anymore. We're talking about, hey, there's this thing, this bottle I can go buy at the pharmacy,
which means
called aspirin.
if that cow dung actually cures stuff, it's not because of the poop, or probably not because of it, but there's some active ingredient in there that's actually doing something. And so that would be worth finding out. Why would they not want to cure the whole world? These are the sorts of questions to go to and then say,
right.
Or is it more likely
that
scientists
have a conspiracy
that you did something? Oh, was she taking any other medication during this time?
I'm sure she was. Because
so here's
my
somebody with a condition who's
constantly had her, in and out of the hospital. So yeah.
Yeah, which is more likely that it was the actual medicine or the cow shit?
Yeah.
Right. And maybe that's what it is, and it's just over the years the family just has the confirmation bias.
Right, but the thing I'm trying to
the whole thing with the
thing I'm trying to caution
being sacred.
The thing I'm trying to caution you about is that there's no way for you to get to an actual answer because you don't have a time machine for this instance, and there's probably no way for you to convince those people that they didn't experience what they're convinced they experienced of. You've got to work long term to get them to recognize that, hey, maybe the story's exaggerated. Maybe they reached a conclusion that wasn't warranted. And it's better to show examples of them having done that in other areas because we've all done it.
Yeah, and people tend to double down when they're challenged on certain things. And so, I don't know, it seems like you might just be in for a can of worms.
And how long ago did this happen?
This must have been maybe 20-ish years ago,
Okay,
18 years ago.
why do you even care? Why is it you're trying to go and address your family over something they've believed for 20 years? Are they still just rubbing cow dung on each other?
No.
Have they ever done it
that's not
again
the
after
case,
the one
but,
instance?
No.
Wow.
I think it was just that they were convinced that it was some sort of dark magic, and that such things exist in the world. And I've been recently trying to get them to be a little more reasonable about what they mean when they warn me about certain omens in the world. They just say something random and just imagine that they've done their jobs as parents to warn me against whatever, but it doesn't work like that. And I'm trying to get them to be a little more reasonable and ask them questions about how do they know about these things, and I just keep getting the same answer. We were all there. We all saw it.
Yeah, and that's all fine. You can give other examples of, UFO abductions and how those stories are similar, and but what you may find is that they believe that stuff too. One of the things that's a pretty good defense mechanism, if you believe a lot of kind of bizarre things that don't have evidence for it, is that in order to protect your own beliefs, you're willing to accept that other things that don't have evidence for it are likely true as well. I mean, it may be that this thing about the healing isn't the ground level of this. It could be that it's because there's religious beliefs that think that black magic is real, and therefore that gives credence to the cow dung thing, and so they need to hang on to that story. Otherwise, they might risk having to say that the religion that they believed isn't right.
Yeah, people might have a big investment in this, and if you want to chip away at it, I would maybe focus on if somebody's making a testable claim, go test it. But these old stories are not testable, and so you're probably just going to be on a wild goose chase.
Yeah. But there was one other thing I wanted to ask, and feel free not to answer. But do either of you publicly endorse a candidate for 2020?
We're not allowed to do that, even if we could.
Okay. Fair enough.
The Atheist Community of Austin is a 501c3 organization, and we are nonpartisan, and we certainly can't endorse individual candidates.
Come on down, and we can have a one-on-one conversation and chat about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I do mean to come down to Austin sometime.
All right. We'd welcome you. All right.
Look forward.